Oh,
Welcome to another episode. And we are here today with somebody who found us, our podcast. He's in Ireland, which is really exciting. Because in Ireland, he was listening to podcasts and they were all from birth mothers and not any adoptees. So he reached out to us. Coming to us from the northwest coast of Ireland is Cormac Downey. Hi, Cormac. Thank you for being here.
How girls? You well?
We're excited you're here.
You're excited I'm here. I tell you, I don't even binge watch things like, and I've had this Spotify in my ear, just maybe 8, 9, 10 episodes. I'm falling asleep and then have to wake up and rewind. It's just mad. So I said, where to start? Where do I start with me adopted mom and dad, or
I would say start with how you came to be adopted, and however you want to tell it. I mean, we'll probably jump in with questions as we do.
I think I woke up one time when I was 6 or 7 years of age and I realized I was adopted. I was adopted at 5 months, but I don't ever remember being any different than adopted. I always knew it. I knew I was adopted before I knew what adopted was. My mom, as I told you in the email, would be 100 today. So happy birthday, Martha. So my adoptive mom would be 100 today. So they were pretty old when they
Wow.
adopted me, like. And it was just me. There wasn't anybody else.
So what, they were like in their 50s when they adopted, or?
I'm 54, so that's 46 years ago.
Yeah.
So they were in their late 40s, like,
And they had never had any other kids before that?
Never had any kids. I think my mom might have had a couple of miscarriages or something, but it was never spoken about. I'm sure there's all this is, you'll know this story, like, it was kind of, it just was never spoken about. Like, I was just reared by the two of them. They had a little small butcher shop and they grew all their own vegetables, and I spent all my summers on the farm with them, and it was pretty ideal. My old fellow was a lunatic. Like, he was, I don't know whether he went stone mad every time he drank. I was afraid of him when he drank, but he never done anything to me. He never hit me or beat me or anything like that. It was just, his father was in the trenches of World War I. And he was in, I'm sure you know the story with Ireland. We're only 100 years a country, like, it was by the UK, and he was in the north part of Ireland, and he never liked the UK, blah, blah. There was all this. So he was a roaring lunatic, when he was full of whiskey, like, and when he wasn't, he was just bang on. And then we clashed, I suppose, when I hit my teenage years. Motorbikes and growing my hair long, and my old man couldn't understand this at all. Like, where's this coming? I thought I was gay for a long time, like, I remember when my wife rang up looking for me, he went, quick, get him on the phone. There's a girl on the other end of the phone, because he thought there's something wrong with him, like, But, like, from listening to your podcast, they had nothing. They didn't have any education on how to look after an adopted baby. But my mum, here's a really mad story. The Germans were bombing the RAF base in Belfast, and my adoptive mum, was a trainee nurse, and they were evacuating the trainee nurses out of the Royal Victoria Hospital, while at the same time my father, who didn't know my mother, and a load of his friends were heading to the hills above Antrim with a crate of beer to watch the Germans bombing the British in Belfast. But my mum then served her time. She as a nurse in the field hospitals in England, all the young soldiers coming home from the war and injured and this and that other, and she had to learn psychology. And the one thing she always knew is she never felt rejected by me. She knew this pup was after being taken out of his basket and been brought off to somebody else, and I was roared the place down, wouldn't eat for them, kept pushing them away, wouldn't take any bottle. I was taken off the breast at 5 months and just given to some other couple, like, and thank God it was her that got me, because she looked after me pretty good, like, Then in about 1997, she got Alzheimer's, or as we just say, she was away with the fairies for about 3 years, and that just finished her off, like. And my old man was no good on his own, so we brought him over here to our house, and we put a mobile home up from a trailer in America, I suppose you call it, and he lived there for the last 3 years, and me and him really connected and really got on. Never told me anything, told me a couple of lies to throw me off the scent, but that's of his time,
To throw you off the scent of your origins, you mean?
Yes. Okay. He said that it was somebody within his family's, maybe his brother's daughter had got into trouble, as it was called, back in the day.
Why did he
And
not want you to know the truth?
I don't know. I presume an ego thing, maybe. I don't know. And it was always, I never looked. I never had any interest in looking. I had a wee bit of a sniff, but this was long before internet. You'd have to look through the yellow pages and find the adoption and ring. So you get a nun on the other end of the phone and, we send you out an application form. No thanks. That was, but I felt I would have been betraying their parenting to me for bringing me and rearing me and bringing me up by going doing that.
That's kind of a common theme, right?
That's, So I suppose then another thing I think you were talking about, my firstborn. Oh boy, my firstborn. The first time I love all my kids equally. I'd never say I love anyone, but me and my eldest son were like that.
How many kids? How many kids do you have?
Three. He's nearly 30. My middle fella's 25, and my daughter she'll be 20 this May. But myself and my eldest son are just two peas out of the one pod. Like, it was the first connection I ever felt,
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, I know they say, you're not supposed to be buddies, but it doesn't matter. Me and him are just best buddies. We kill each other, we laugh, we have the crack, we're constantly together all the time. Like, God love him. There's a lot to put up with.
Yeah. That's fun. And when you were being brought up, you knew you were adopted, you said. Mm-hmm. You knew, and what was the story that you were told? Why, what did they say? Not just your adopted dad, but your mom.
You were adopted. I knew I knew I was adopted, mm-hmm. and I knew where I was adopted from, and that was it.
And that was it.
And you didn't like press the issue, like ask your adopted mom.
If I tried, I just don't want to be talking about that there. That'll only annoy Dad.
Uh-huh.
If you heard, did you hear all that? That was it, like, And if I did try and mention to him, that would annoy Daddy, and then me and him would be shouting and roaring at each other, like. So there was never, The closest he came to it was he told me that I was the son of this niece of his. One time he was drunk when he was here, like, and that threw me off the scent for like months. I was raging with him, like, this is only after he. I was kind of nearly going to make contact with people in Australia, like, and there were nothing got to do with me at all,
You were going to reach out to the niece and say, hey, I was
going to reach out to her, say, hey, how's it going? Hey, Mom, what's the crack? And but no, it wasn't. And then I kind of I put it to bed. I genuinely did. I put it to bed, like, and then I'm 54, so about 5 years ago, these babies. That's where we started saying these babies. Mm-hmm. It's coming on the news. They were fine, like, it has to be on the news. You can't hide this anymore. Like, they were digging them up, like finding them, loads of them, like,
Was and this in Northern Ireland where this was happening?
No, this is in Southern Ireland. They moved to Canada for a few years. I think they were around the States for a while. They came back and went to London for a few years, and then they tossed a coin to go to Australia or else buy a butcher shop business in this small little village in the west coast of Ireland, Colooney, and that's what they did. They bought that, and the rest is history, like, So
Cormac, you mentioned digging up the babies. Tell our listeners about that.
Oh, it was on the radio, I saw everybody news it come on. But this local historian, Catherine Corliss. She's a lovely woman. I'll send you a link to one or two of the videos if you're interested in looking in the future. And I said to my wife, Audrey, I wonder, should I just have one more look, just for the crack? The crack, the CRAIC, not CRSEK.
Right.
And just for the laugh, like, and see what's what, like. And I don't do Facebook, so I made a profile on Facebook, and there's a mother and baby group dedicated to that particular mother and baby home that I come out of. But they're closed Facebook groups. You can't just have any willy-nilly going in. You have to ask permission to get in. Obviously, they're sensitive. So they're waiting. I know patience for things like that. I was waiting. A day later, I got in, went scrolling. I seen this girl who was looking for a boy that was born on the chat. I said, that's my birthday. I contacted the girl. It was a sister of mine who was also given up for adoption about a year after me in England, and she has a twin.
Wow.
And I have been told I was a twin at birth as well, but I don't have any proof of that. Like, so
I was going to ask that. Are you a twin?
I don't know yet. You know, I've been told a fair few porkies lies in me time, and I be careful of what I believe or what I take in too much, like, you know. So basically, I got in contact with this girl. Jane was her name, and she has a sister called Jen. They were both adopted. After my mother had me, she went home, and her parents wanted nothing to do with her because you can imagine she was after letting down the family name and the usual all Irish bullshit. Everywhere is bullshit. It's Catholic bullshit, I suppose. And she went off up to Dublin to send her up to a laundry in Dublin. The laundries here were named after Mary Magdalene. Magdalene laundries for fallen. That's what they originally were for, to take in fallen women off the streets and try and remedy their ways. And eventually they ended up taking in unwed mothers. And then after they were finished with unwed mothers, they started taking in, it turned into an asylum for the lunatic children, bunged all the mad kids in there. Like, so it's a good history, those old buildings, like.
Fallen mothers. I mean, that's so sad. Just please,
you know,
I have a quick question. You just had a feeling you were from one of these homes because you were told,
my mom,
obviously.
I knew I was from that particular home in Castle Pollard in County Westmeath. I was told that by my mum and dad. You were adopted from here, and that's it.
No, but then later your dad said, no, it was my niece.
Yes. But you see, but there's stories here of birth certs being falsified. There's women here have been going around with various different size cushions under their jumpers, like, as the months would go on. So when the 9 months would come up, they'd come out with this newborn baby, like, you know, I had it. They pretended that they weren't adopted. There's a kind of a certain shame around it. It wouldn't have been uncommon for my father's niece to have a child, the child go through the system and then come to my mother and father. Like, there's all sorts of shenanigans going on in all sorts of directions, like, you know. But
okay, so I waylaid you.
You're okay. Where was I?
You meet your sister.
Oh no, it's just on Facebook now.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to have a brother, and her other sister doesn't want to have anything got to do with the whole lot. I understand, sound 100%, like, you know, I started talking. But as I was talking to the girl, and as I was trying to, it was all, fuck her, like, she's only an old bitch, and she gave me away. And I was trying to explain to her, like, what went on in Ireland, because, you know, did you ever hear the saying history was written by the victors? Well, they wouldn't have been taught Irish history in England, like, so she felt more abandoned. Like, you know, I never really felt abandoned, because I always knew growing up that, like, you weren't allowed to have a child, you weren't allowed to get pregnant in Ireland, like it was like
the church was going to control that.
Oh yeah,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
So like there's that to it, like, you know. So she told me my mother was looking for me. And as I was trying to talk to her, I was saying that, you know, maybe she wanted to go and contact who she knew who her birth father was. Because in England, you're entitled to, you call it a closed adoption. Yeah, closed adoption. You're in England, once you reach 18 years of age, whatever information there is about you, non-identifying or whatever, like but here we're still only waiting on it. We still haven't got our records, like. It was written into legislation last year. Everybody was supposed to have their records in 30 days. Oh, they didn't get away with email. Oh, sorry, probably 60 days now. Well, no, it's going to be 90 days because we're kind of a bit snowed under. Like, you know, I hope you don't mind waiting, like, you know, yourself. This dull Irish way, nod, wink, wink, under the table again, like, you know. So
was she your twin?
She was my sister, but she's also a twin.
Oh, but not
a year
twin.
later.
A year later. Yeah.
My twin only survived for 10 days.
Oh, okay. So you're going to get to that. Okay.
So, where was I now? Yes, we've met. I've got in contact with you. Yeah, she says your mother's looking for you. So I contacted this woman, got talking to her. Yeah, the mother. picture of me, like, we've had no like legal proof or anything of this, like, all chatting and talking and back and forth, this, that, or, I want to come and see you, like, I'm an introvert, if that makes any sense to you. I kind of really like my own space. Like, I don't like sort of just, lovely and huggy with my own crowd here in my own house, my own dogs, my own bits and pieces, like, but apart from that, like, kind of back off a little, like, And so look, I says, look, you can come and see me. But she came up and she was just a little bit much, but okay. Seemed to make it a lot about her and turn it into a party and into and maybe drink and then telling her side of the story and woe is me and and I understand. I know the crack. She must have went through an awful lot. Like, they had a screaming room in the mother and baby home. That's where the little girls used to go to roar their heads off when they were in labor. Like, and then they also had, which I think was the most cruel, perspex. Do you know what perspex is? Plexiglass.
No.
Plexiglass, like frosted plexiglass up to here. So they had to stand up on their tippy toes, and you could look out the window at the new mother and father bringing your baby away in the car, and you could see the car driving down the lane. And she was told, I think she was told on the night before, get him ready, he's going tomorrow. That was it, like.
That was it.
And I believe her, like, that story is
bring the child in, bring your child in the world. He's shipping out tomorrow. Get
him ready. He's going out tomorrow. And like,
how old was she?
16.
16.
Just a baby.
16.
And she's in one of those homes with those nuns. There's this, like, the notorious.
Oh yeah. The Sisters of Charity.
Yeah.
And
good old religion.
There was no doctor on call, and there was a midwife, but the midwife was a nun, so they weren't too sympathetic. Little or no medication given, scrubbing floors and doing the whole lot, and they would have had to walk. Any room that I went to church, they would be paraded, like, their hair were cut and they were like made wear a uniform and their names taken off them, and whoa, mad stuff, like,
That's why it's all about her, the trauma that she's never dealt with.
Yeah, of course, but I kind of wanted the few meetings to be maybe me and her go off for an hour.
Did her parents send her to this home?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then
I was listening to it.
Oh, I just wanted you to finish that thought about, so she gives birth and she thinks she's having one baby, but she has two?
Yes. And one doesn't make it, like. And that was said to me as flippant as what you and me is after saying it there now, and then it was never mentioned again. And I tried bringing it up a couple of times.
That's all you've heard.
Probably really traumatic for her to.
That's all I was getting, And then I could go hopping again. So they come up a few times. We were invited down. I have a very, very, very gut feeling that my father and the younger girls than me, the twins in England, that we're the same.
You have the same father?
Same father. My mother says no, but and then she's married and she's separated and she has 4 kids down the other end of the country, and none of those kids know about the twins after me.
So she had you and your twin who died, and then she a year later had 2 twins.
Another twins, and then 4 more then.
And then 4 more.
And the other 4 kids, were any of them twins?
No.
Okay. And they were from her husband, who this is now later in life. She got married
she got married then when she went back home out of England, like, who she since separated, like, from him now as well, like, but the kind of I don't know what it is. There's just something like the twins after me. Her family with her husband, like, have never been told about those twins after me.
Were they told? Were they told about you?
she tells me that they've known about me all their lives, but I think they've only known about me because of all this babies thing coming out and people getting contact and Facebook. And I think she got backed into a corner and she had to put her hand up to one of them, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
what they were digging. I'm just trying to connect the dots here. They went to dig up babies. Kind of horrible to say. And your twin was there?
No, I've only been told by my mother
About the twin.
I have no documents, but I know that if that all be true, then that's where the babies were thrown out the back. Like there's hundreds of them. Like, you know, it's common practice. I'm not laughing. I'm nervous. Like, you know, it's just beyond.
No. It's just it's too horrible to really take in.
You know. So then you could start adding all bits and pieces to that. Like that's why, like when I went to the post-primary, after your, you know, not college, middle school, is that what you call it? Your teenage school.
High school.
Walk into the local school, high school, controlled by nuns. And nuns were teaching them. Like, and I just couldn't connect with these people at all. And it never really bothered me because, like, you know, I thought nuns were supposed to be nice. Like they're, you know, God people, like. But it's only like as things come out then in what happened with the historical sex abuse of the priests and the Christian brothers, like
horrible.
Just a whole lot of it, like it's just, you know, it's mad stuff, like.
Mm-hmm.
So that went on. I met her family, went down a couple of times. I just felt like that we were I was kept on the outside a bit.
Did you meet your siblings? So you met your siblings then when you met her?
Yes, but it all was revolving around the pub and the session and pints, and that's the way it is here, sort of. Believe it or not, like it's not just a stereotype. You know, there's a lot of drink involved, you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of then she wanted to come back up again, and she kind of landed up, and she brought fucking half sisters with her and sisters' boyfriends, and they're just like too much for me, like. And then just being too forceful, and if I had you, I would have reared you different. Them's kind of old, they're all Irish isms, but I'm an adopted Irish, so they mean different. Do you know what I mean? I could take a little bit more offense for something. You know, if you said to me, I would have reared you different if I had you, that means that you're saying to me that my mother didn't do a good job. That's automatically what I take. Do you know, this trying to force the kids to call her granny, you know, I was listening to a guy, I think the latest one I've listened to was by a guy from Newcastle. I forget his name. Very nice, well-spoken lad. He could be a therapist or something himself.
David Benjamin. David.
He said that how it's stuck in his mouth to say that to call her mom.
Yeah.
So even if I was writing a text or addressing her, I cheat. I call her mother. Mother would be the way somebody from Cork would say mother. It's like M-U-D-D-E-R, like if you were to for the mother. You know, I can get that. I can just about get that out. Like, oh, it's strange. So that went on, and it was just too much for me. Too much in the house, and I just said, "Look, you're just going to have to go. Like, just go." I needed I had the blinkers on, you know, the whole way through, and the wagon got out of control. And by the time I had the blinkers off, I was at the wheel, like, and it was, you know, I had to. So it kind of toned down then. It kind of toned down then a bit, like, and kind of thought it was just maybe a text once every couple of weeks and how are you getting on, and you know, what's the weather like up there, and how is the family, and
it's very common. It's very common, and your feelings were really pushed aside. It's really everybody but the adoptee, right? You're not take care of everybody. Yep.
Did you have any emotional attachment to her? Did you find yourself getting an emotional attachment, or is it that ship sailed?
I see an awful lot of similarities. Stuff that she'd be into. She'd be mad into her dogs, and she'd be very mechanical. So for an old lady, like, she's 70 now, like she'd go out and change the oil in her own car, like, and change her own wheel if she had a puncture and bits and pieces like that. Like, my father couldn't drive a nail straight into two pieces of wood, like, but he was a master butcher, you know. So it's each with their own, like, you know.
Yeah.
Are you mechanical?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. And musical,
Mhm.
and maybe a little bit
See in
away
the
with the
background,
fairies
yeah.
myself. But I like being away. But I like old things. I wear secondhand clothes. My guitars are things that I found and I brought back from that's been thrown away, like other people's stuff. I love that, like the old stuff. Do you know, in this throwaway culture today, I know it's not right saying so, but it's great because like I just got mountains of clothes to choose from. Like, it's unbelievable. It doesn't cost me money to get. I don't go to the barbers. I can live virtually free. I've got a very small carbon footprint. But
my husband would like you, actually. We talk about this a lot.
What I is one of the maddest things, and it's only recently. So you can imagine all this is going on, and there's more I've missed and little bits in between and stuff. But I took some notion. I wanted to know who the old fella was, like my father. You know, me natural father, like.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd always kind of same thing, dancing about it. Well, we must talk about that sometime, you know. And I'll talk about anything, like, but it never come round to it anyway. And then there was this row, you know. So then it's kind of got back to now, hello, nice day, how's it going? How's things? And so fuck it, like, you know, I said, what's the story with Alpha, like, you know? I said, it wouldn't have been nice if you told me instead of me waiting for another 6 months for the government to have to tell me, like, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to do anything with it, I promise. I'm not going to try and cause any trouble or families or this. You don't need to. What do you want to know that for? Was the first thing, like. I said, come on now, like, what do you think I need to know that for? That's another question after asking the question that was asked the question for. He's dead anyway, so what difference does it make?
So blunt, she tells you he's dead.
Yeah. So I says, fair enough. That's all right. I says, but dead or alive, I still want to know, like, you know, I just want to know, you know. I don't know about that. I said, well, look, there'll be no more texting from me, you, or either until I said, all I want to do is know. You know, I won't do it with it. You've met me. You know the crack. You know, I'm not going to cause any harm. Like, you're holding something back. Just let me know the story. We need to talk. I said, okay, ring me whenever it's convenient. I said, now, an hour, half an hour, 22 days, whenever suits you, like 6 o'clock. She rang me at 6 o'clock. Are you sitting down? She said, no. Your father is he says your father is a member of the traveling community. Does that, you know what a member of the traveling community is?
Yeah.
No,
Gypsy.
I don't know what that means.
Gypsy.
Oh,
I was going to say gypsy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not
different terms. Yeah.
People who alternative lifestyle maybe is the way to.
No. These would be these would be an indigenous Irish people, like, that live on the road.
Oh yeah.
But have been driven off the road, like tinkers.
Yeah.
That's a tinker's pot.
Ah.
But from that particular part of the country, if it is my father's family would have been traveling to horse fairs and repairing pots and pans and playing music and doing all this, and then like just overnight it just flooded in. Oh yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, like. And I said, so you wouldn't have an old photograph written off him, you know, or something that I could, you know, or you know, and I could. She sent me 3 photographs of him and his obituary. He died fucking last November.
Oh.
And like, she never even told me, like.
You
know, and she wants nothing to do with the twin girls in England and doesn't want me to have any kind. Whatever poison she said to them or whatever's going on there, they have just drew in the horns as well. Like, I can't get no word from them at all over there either. Like.
But they did share the same father. Did she admit that? No.
She said definitely not. And she told me that it's this other guy, like, who's, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I really genuinely don't. So there goes right back at the end again. There's all that information I have, and do I believe any of it? I don't know.
Have you done DNA with the girls at the time? You haven't done DNA with your sisters?
No, I haven't.
Right, and then maybe the DNA would also lead to the truth about your father.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Doesn't the people that connected to me have to be on DNA in order for me to connect up with them? No.
Well, you could be a few generations distant and still connect the DNA. You don't have to be like right there.
Right. That's something I must look into. The young fellas on about getting it for me for Christmas or for a birthday present, buying me the old DNA kit.
That's exactly.
Ancestry is the
be
best one or
interest-
something, is it?
Yeah, Ancestry is a really good one, and it could
Yeah.
really help. Your sons also might find it interesting. You'll learn a lot in there.
And who knows? I mean,
know,
I think you might have different DNA ancestries. Is very American. I don't know how far their reach
I think they have
is,
a
but I'm
UK.
sure
Yeah.
yeah, but you probably have.
Oh no,
something there,
they're like they're .co.uk. Like I think I've looked through their advertisement. Like they're worldwide, and there's a few of them. Like there's another heritage one, like an Irish one is pretty good.
Oh
too,
yeah,
like,
heritage.
I mean,
but
why not?
these traveler people, these tinker people, I don't know. It's tinker is nearly a derogatory word now. It's nearly like the N word.
Yeah.
And they will call it to themselves, but I mean it in the broadest sense of the word, that they're tinsmiths, tinkers. That's what I mean. I don't mean it as an insult to the folks, like, you know. But I am 54 years waiting on my early life information, I think it's called, and whatever birth cert. I don't have a birth cert. Whatever stuff you get, I'm still waiting.
What is the government? Does the government update you, or you just have to wait?
Not at all. You have to wait. Oh, and they had a redress scheme, which is they're paying every mother that went through the institutions €5,000, and the money will go up incrementally depending on how long that they stayed in the institution. You were lucky enough if you were only bad enough to go and have a bastard child out of wedlock. If you were a loose woman going around the pubs, there's women have died in there in their 70s and 80s, never to see the light of day again, that never had a child. They were just considered to be loose women and a bad influence on the local men. And
just
the
locked,
local women
locked away.
Lock them up, boy. That's the truth.
Oh, let's protect these men from these.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, it's mad. It's mad times. Like, you know? But why was it? I was going to say something else there now, and I forgot what it was.
I'm glad that it's
like,
all coming.
yeah.
I'm glad it's coming out. You know, Cormac.
But because I was 5 months, and it wouldn't matter if it was 5 months and 28 days. Like I was less than 6 months in the institution, so I'm not deemed entitled to any redress because it didn't affect my life. Like. I wouldn't have. And do you ever watch George of the Jungle?
No.
You know George of the Jungle?
Yeah,
no.
I remember George of the Jungle.
Yeah, he's another orphan thing.
George of the Jungle.
Oh, yeah. Well, George is lucky, I guess. I always say that because stuff kind of has worked out for me. Like I've kind of, but if I look into it, 100%, like. Why have I had like 750 different jobs and career paths and never hold down a job, or never, you know, I'm always, you know, and as you say, like, can't go out and have a drink like a normal person. And there's loads of little bits and pieces. Like, no, it suits me. I like my own company, but some people, their own company, it'll make them depressed. It doesn't make me depressed. Like, you know, like I said, I'm lucky. Like, but there's loads of people like in the city. Well, I don't actually know anybody. I think I might know one or two other adopted people. You'd be the
Did you ever
most
talk
closest...
about your adoption with them?
No, because they don't want to talk about it. Like, just kind of put their head down and, you know, talk about something else. Like, you know, oh, sure, if I had a child as ugly as you, I would have put it up for adoption as well.
Yeah, it's like a joke and move on.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Irish humor.
That's it. Like, you know, we laugh at stuff. We have to.
And culturally, are people talking about it over there?
No, because
nobody.
Even if I try and talk about it, you can see other people getting embarrassed by it. You know,
it's a stain on the country and the history of the country.
I mentioned to a friend the other day, I was pure excited when I heard about maybe there's a chance that I come from the traveling community, because the heritage to have living in old boat top caravans and traveling the roads and playing music, it's lovely. Like, it's really is. It's one of those things you kind of, I wonder, am I a gypsy or am I a traveling? But I am. That's what I mean. That's good. I'm happy enough with that. Like, you know. But I was saying that to a couple of friends on the phone. And don't be fucking saying that to everybody. But, you know. Say nothing about that. Like, don't be mentioning.
Don't say that. Yeah.
Yeah, don't say that. Like, you know, as if somebody's that has known me for the last 50 years, all of a sudden, oh, watch him. He's gonna steal the vegetables out of your garden.
And And you've been married for a long time.
Yeah, very much in love for the last 31 years. Like, I don't know how she put out. She's in hospital at the minute. She's not well at all.
Oh no!
She had
sorry.
Yeah, she had a big spinal operation there in September, and due to spina bifida when she was younger, and just sort of like legacy ailment. Basically, she's in ICU in Dublin Hospital at the minute, and she's awaiting the colorectal team. I think they're going to have to take away the most of her colon. And
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's awful.
But she's 4'10" of dynamite. Like if anybody can do this, like Audrey can. Hello, Audrey. Sorry for hijacking,
Audrey.
but tonight you'd never know. You might hear me in the future. All the best to you. But yeah, she's good. Yeah,
your kids are all nearby.
One, the guy that I tied to my ankles when he was born and haven't let him go since. He's has an apartment built. He's an apartment. Me and him built a gaff out in the field there for him. And my other daughter, my daughter lives sort of between here and town. She's working in town. And my middle son, then he's in Dublin, in the capital. He's working in a bar up there. Like, so I'm sure. Look, with the WhatsApp and this crack now, you can talk away to them. It's not like they're not there at all. You know, they're right beside you all the time. So yeah, it's good.
You really are close to your son. He's right there. I love it.
Yeah,
I love that you have your kids, and Audrey, because you've done pretty well with relationships. Honestly, adoptees have a lot of problems with relationships.
I don't know what it was. Like, we're together since we're kids. Like, that's well, we've done a whole lot together. Like, so.
Are you now with your birth mother? Where are you at? Are you talking to her, or are you still?
Like I said, that's the first time I talked to her the other day when she was telling me about my old fella. In about 2 years, like, it was just sort of text forward and back between it. I don't know what it is. It's just it is what it is, isn't it? It's just not for me. I think I'd have. I don't know. It's hard to explain. You think you have all the words for it, like when you've been practicing for this, and then when it comes to it, then like she's my mother, and she gave birth to me. But what I want to be there, like knowing like her, the way that she lived. Nothing wrong with the way I'm saying her situation. Where she is, would I like to be in that? No, I want to be here, like, And me mother and father grew up very rural, like, so she was born in 1923 and him in 1924, so very rural part of Northern Ireland. I would have spent all my summers. So the minute I broke off school, I was sent off to me mother's home cottage. And that's where I spent my entire summers with me maiden aunt and my bachelor uncle.
And you love the countryside.
A little slice of heaven. It's the only way I could describe it. Like, I've been very, very lucky that way. Like, I think, I suppose you could. You were sent away for the summer. Like, I didn't look at it that I was sent away for the summer. I reveled in it. Like, it was fantastic. Like, But on both of their sides, then it was just her and a sister, my mother that is, got married, and the other sister and brother stayed at home. And I only have one cousin on that side. And on the adopted father's side, I have, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 or so. I don't know how many of them there is now, like, but I never see or hear from them either, like. But both instances disinherited me from my due inheritance, like, because I'm store-bought, like, and not blood, be about as blunt as I can cut it, like.
So you were disinherited from your inheritance?
Disinherited from a nice, decent farm of land on my mother's side.
No.
And from a house in Wales on my father's side with the godmother's, like.
And was the piece of land the one that you went to every summer?
It would have been attached to it, yeah. I'd be living there today if it was, and it'd make a difference because, as you know, with Audrey's condition, I would have had to quit another job. It isn't too difficult, but I'm her full-time carer, and we are lucky here because we have free healthcare here in Ireland.
Yeah.
there's so like we are lucky that way. But I wouldn't say no to a few thousand if it fell out of the sky, like.
Of course.
Or a little bit of land or anything. But yeah,
just being disinherited from that when you were you were loved in the family and then disinherited. That just, yeah.
it's
a lot.
Yeah. Like if all of those planets didn't line up, then I wouldn't be here with Audrey today, like.
Yeah.
I always,
I feel
like how, or what sort of a twist of fate is it that if I just didn't happen to bump into, never mind that I didn't bump into her in that particular nightclub at that particular night. If I wasn't born in a mother and baby's home, and if they flipped the coin to go to and then all of a sudden, then my son and my two sons and my daughter comes out of that, like that had to add. You can't explain that away with science.
No, you can't.
Wow. So now, what are you feeling like is next? Do you think you might look into taking a DNA test? And if so, would you please keep in touch with us and let us know how that goes?
100%, like, yeah, I will, but this is pretty alien to me, what's going on right here, like, so it was just, I hit across your podcast, and it was the same thing when I was trying to get away from the drink. You just hit on the right podcast. There's one I met a guy called Sober Dave, like, and he's an English guy, like, which you'd never think I'd be it, but just brilliant, like, It's like going to a meeting, or so to say, like, because that's the ideal thing to do, go to a meeting, like. I don't like going to meetings, so that means you got to sit in a room with like 35 other people, like.
Does Sober Dave have a podcast?
It's called Sober. If you type in Sober Dave, you'll get him, like.
Yeah.
But you really need to try the Blind Boy podcast.
You sent us that.
You had said that. We will look at that.
This guy wears a shopping bag on his head, but he's way beyond smart, like.
I mean, I don't know. He could just turn off the camera, but.
Yeah, but no, but they interview him on television on our national broadcaster. Will have him on to talk about mental health or something, like, and there he is with a plastic bag on his head, like, and he just won't take it off. He suffered very bad from mental health, and he put himself through college, and he taught himself counseling and CBD and all that. And this is what he does with his podcast, because there's an awful lot of mental health issues amongst young people here in this country. Like, it's an epidemic.
It's happening. It's here too, but
everywhere,
that's a whole other conversation. Oof, so much wrong. Anyway, thank you, Cormac, for coming on and telling us this fascinating story. Really, and I so want to hear if you do the DNA test and finding out about your father's. And I find the traveler
because that really
fascinating.
Me too, because like there's even I think I heard there's a lullaby, it's like a Tinker's Lullaby, it's called, and it's always rattled close to me. And my mother told me, like, but my mother told me way back, like, she used to sing that song to me, like, when she was in the mother and baby home. And I heard, I think way at the very beginning of your podcast, like, I don't think I'm mad, like, that a child can pick its mother out of a mugshot without ever seeing her. Is that right?
Yeah. It's that imprint, DNA imprint.
Yeah.
Wow. And another funny one is that all the babies, and this is just one more little funny twist on Irish Catholicism back in the day. It was that all the mothers had to breastfeed their kids, which was very good for the kids. Yes.
Yeah. At least there was that.
But it was only done as a cost-saving exercise.
Oh.
Because outside in society, if a woman was seen doing that, like, she'd nearly be locked up for it. Every other child in Ireland was on formula.
Yeah, I read something. I read something about that. Of Liz Harvey, an adoptee, posted something about that. Formula was the thing. It was like, oh, do this for your baby and don't expose your breast. But the kids that were in the home got the breast milk.
Because,
And then just
every
cut
40
off though. They were also just cut off. There was no like weaning or
Not at all. There you
No.
go. Out, get him ready. He's gone. You know, like as she says to gone again. I'll think of it again some other time. I'll think of it some other time. It doesn't matter. Like, you know.
That is
listen,
me.
follow.
God bless the two of you. Thank you very much for talking
Thank
to
you,
me.
Thank
Cormac.
you,
It was
Cormac.
so great to meet you. So happy to
Excellent.
meet you.
This has
Thank
been
you.
wonderful.
This is really good. Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
this
this
is
is a
good.
free therapy session. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Should be saving me
For
about
us
50
too.
quid. Thank you very much. Take care of
Thanks,
yourself.
Bye.
Cormac. Bye.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye, bye.